Breathe Pakistan.
A Dawn Media initiative.
Let's weather the change
Together.
Pakistan is a country at the front line of climate change.
Pakistan has witnessed one of the deadliest monsoons in history.
Pakistan's climate crisis. 1,200 deaths.
It caused the kind of devastation we've never seen before.
Unable to survive under the sky because of the heat.
Pakistan is experiencing a climate calamity.
Why is no one helping us?
From devastating floods to droughts and glacial outbursts, the impact is both immediate and far-reaching. As Pakistan grapples with these climate crises, how is the government, international bodies and businesses working to mitigate and adapt to ongoing challenges?
Will this be the last time a country is going to be victim of this devastation?
Addressing these pressing challenges requires not just national efforts, but also global collaboration. The Dawn Media Breathe Pakistan International Climate Change Conference brought together experts, policymakers and business leaders to forge solutions. The two-day event focused on making Pakistan climate resilient by 2047 while fostering regional cooperation to combat shared environmental challenges.
We prioritized governance reforms, policy execution, and capacity building within no time. Initiatives such as 5E, 5C, as rooted in our homegrown transformation plan, Udaan Pakistan, we are integrating climate resilience into energy, equity, connectivity, and development.
Pakistan stands on the front line of the climate crisis. We have endured devastating floods. We have seen prolonged droughts, glacial melting, and rising temperatures that threaten not just livelihoods, but entire ecosystems.
Courts in Pakistan have shaped adaptive climate jurisprudence, which is globally recognized now, issuing directives to government institutions to take concrete steps toward climate adaptation across various sectors.
We are also very grateful to V20 and that forum in terms of working on a comprehensive climate prosperity plan, which will be inshallah unveiled during April.
We are working on debt for climate swaps to diversify financing sources and reduce borrowing costs for development projects. The Planning Commission is aligning development partner-funded programs with Pakistan's climate agenda, ensuring all investments contribute to national priorities.
Hope is that not just the politicians, not just the government officials, but the non-governmental organizations, the media houses, they all realize that how important it is to work on the climate change issue, to campaign on the climate change issue.
At the heart of the discussions was the need for clear, actionable climate communication. World Bank's Global Director for Climate Change, Valerie Hickey, underscored this challenge.
The original sin of climate change, and the reason why climate denialism is on the rise again, and why we're not responding to the climate crisis, because that's all we have in our control to do is respond, is because of the way we communicate about climate change. Even the fact that we talk about climate change, nobody knows what the climate is. Everybody knows what weather is. Why don't we just talk about the weather? Why don't we talk in terms that people understand and be very wary of the audience we're speaking to? Because how we describe what we do in adaptation at the World Bank to an audience of some of the smartest, most educated people on climate change from the public and private sectors is very different to how we would speak about it to a farming family. And yet too often in the climate change community, we say the same thing to both audiences and neither audience understands what we're talking about anymore. So communications really is the original sin of the climate community. But I want to speak very briefly about our approach to adaptation because it defines an awful lot of our approach to knowledge management in this space. And it starts and ends with water. Because when it comes to adaptation, water is to adaptation what energy is to mitigation. It's the alpha and the omega. Because people experience climate change through floods or drought or desertification or land degradation, whether as a sudden shock or whether as the slow-moving misery that hundreds of millions of people experience that never is in the news, because the fact that somebody can't make enough off of their land isn't very exciting or sexy, not compared to fires in Los Angeles when multi-million-dollar celebrity homes are burning down. But it is a slow-motion misery. And of course, when I say we experience, it's how we experience climate change. We don't really experience climate change. We're all going to be fine. It's the poor. It's the people who are already downtrodden, for whom already just simply through an accident of birth have a lot less than all of we have.
Pakistan's response to these climate challenges is led by its Ministry of Climate Change, which has introduced policies to adapt and mitigate risks.
You must be knowing that on the electrical vehicles, the policy has been launched, and that also we are gone through in that. And then there are, the climate finance strategies are also being planned, and then how we can, the public and private partnerships, which is very much important in that, how we can raise the funding, how we can raise the funds for in the climate resilience way.
The Pakistani government is taking steps not only to address climate adaptation, but also lead the charge in policy development, with an emphasis on collaboration across different sectors.
जहाँ तक बात आती है क्लाइमेट के उसके अंदर काम के अंदर, तो हमारा जो एक बहुत बड़ा लम्हा फ़िक्रिया भी है, टेंशन भी है, वो है क्लीन वाटर के बारे में. जो एयर पोल्यूटेड वाटर है, फिर एयर पोल्यूशन है, हम उसको किस तरह से कंट्रोल करना है, हमें उसको किस तरह से लेके आगे बढ़ना है. हम सब जानते हैं कि पाकिस्तान इज़ वेरी मच ब्लेस्ड विद ग्लेशियर्स, बट एट द सेम टाइम बीइंग अ वनरेबल एज वेल, हम लोग उसके ख़तरात से भी जो है सब आगाह हैं कि कितने ख़तरात हैं. उसके लिए ग्लॉफ का जो प्रोजेक्ट है उसको किया गया, जबकि ग्लॉफ 2 जो है अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वो कंप्लीट हुआ. नाउ वी आर इन द फेज ऑफ द ग्लॉफ 3 का जो प्रोजेक्ट है उसको देखा जा रहा है, और उसके अंदर लोकल कम्युनिटीज जो है उनको भी इंगेज किया जा रहा है.
As Pakistan faces the mounting challenges of climate change, the government is working to involve all stakeholders in these critical initiatives.
But I think where there's a will, there is a way. And under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister Mia Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif, who is currently the Minister in charge of this ministry, he's the Minister of this ministry, which shows that how much close this subject to his heart, that he has keeping this portfolio with him, and in a way, because this is something where lots of coordination is being needed. Lots of cross-cutting subjects going to be discussed among the provinces, because we are right now in federal, and after the 18th Amendment, so many things or subjects have been devolved to the provinces. So in that way, there are so many challenges where it needs to be discussed on the higher level. So it is very important. So that in the beginning, as we have seen, there are in few years back there are no meetings being done and so many challenges. So now those how to handle, so that is one of the things. Before that, the collaboration, cooperation was much more needed, which somehow, alhamdulillah, under the leadership of the Prime Minister Mia Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif Sahab, we have gone through with that, and now we are very actively on all way, we are focusing on that.
Despite the challenges, Pakistan continues to move forward in addressing climate change.
In a coming time, because this is one more important subject, which is, I always say, under the sky, everything is related to the climate change. So all the ministries which we are having, like if we talk about, if you talk about health, if you talk about health, that is very much related to the climate change. If you talk about water, energy, commerce, food, in fact, food and security, that all is somehow, being very much related to, yes. So we are talking about the climate justice in this COP this time. Worthy Prime Minister and I myself, and along with my team, along with for Pakistan, we have raised this voice again and again that we need to focus on climate justice. We need to focus on climate finance.
In the fight against climate change, provincial governments play a critical role in turning policies into action.
Punjab is, of course, leading case study in the region, and we have seen lesser patients in hospital in last 5 months. The smog season, about 11% decrease in the patient count when it comes to only the season of intense smog and the peaks that we have seen in last 4-5 months. And also about 2 weeks reduction in the smog indicators, and the peaks that we've seen in last 5 months is another evidence-based data that our policies were meaningful. Smog, of course, as we all know, South Asia has most polluted cities when we compare it to the rest of the world. For the first time, Punjab is seeing a holistic, comprehensive mass transit policy, which is in place now. Already 28 EV buses for the first time in Punjab, in Lahore. They've arrived in Lahore, and the plan is to have more than 1,500 buses across Punjab, electric vehicles. So the province is going through a transitionary policy from converting our mass transit from traditional petrol-based, diesel-based to more environmental friendly hybrid and electric vehicles. There's also a plan under Clean Air Punjab project funded by World Bank to replace two-wheelers and three-wheelers to e-bikes. The project has already started with the students. Around 10,000 electric bikes have been given to university and college students under the same program. Then, of course, Punjab has been declared as zero plastic, no plastic use. The single-use plastic is banned in Punjab at the moment, and massive surveillance and regulation is underway when it comes to anti-single-use plastic campaign. Citizens, manufacturers, they all are for the first time being listed under the No Plastic Bag campaign and the project that we have. The Environmental Protection Agency is a very traditional challenge organization where they used to rent motorbikes for their surveillance. For the first time, they've been equipped with state-of-the-art technology for their surveillance, including monitors, mobile vans, also the air quality monitors, mobile monitors, drones have also been given, body cams have been also given to the Environmental Protection Agency, and also the institutional reform.
While Punjab battles smog and air pollution, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's vast forests are a vital defense against carbon emissions. But preserving these green lungs of Pakistan demands substantial resources.
KP forest area is 37% of the land we have in whole KP, and it makes around 40 to 45% of the forest cover of Pakistan. And as a carbon sink, we are removing 50% carbon of Pakistan. According to the UNDP and the World Bank research, for this much forest area, you need at least 332 billion rupees per year. So I'm not able to invest this much money, but at least my province and my people are doing a job of this big amount, which is 332 billion. And we are working for our country, and we are playing our role, our part for our people, which are 25 crore in Pakistan. Leader Imran Khan has championed the climate change nationally and internationally. And since 2017, in Pakhtunkhwa till now, we have spent more than 675 billion rupees to improve and increase our forest area. The international standard is 25%, but Alhamdulillah, Pakhtunkhwa is right now 26%. It means that we have achieved the international standards and we are above it. And if we say commercially, the land which is being used for this purpose, if commercially it is utilized in minerals, in agriculture, hospitality, and urbanization, so we can earn more than 217 billion per year. So basically we are sacrificing 217 billion per year for this, being the carbon sink for Pakistan, and we are proud of it.
Beyond Pakistan, regional cooperation emerged as a key theme at the Breathe Pakistan conference. Experts stressed that the climate crisis is not limited to one country. It required a united South Asian response.
In the high Himalaya, from the Karakoram, Hindu Kush, all the way to Namcha Barua, in the easternmost tip of the Himalaya, you have permafrost melting. permafrost melting the melting of permafrost is not yet a discussion even among academics, but the frozen frozen stones, boulders, dust, detritus is loosening up. And when you have extreme climate events and rainfall, you have what happened in Sikkim last year, what happened in the Melemchi River of Nepal 3 years ago. Incredible crisis for which we already have the indicators in front of us.
I would say the best way to deal with water is to stop it at the height that it is. Height is a great resource, more than oil, I would say. Mountains are what gives height to water, whether in frozen forms or in permafrost or in flowing water. Now, stop it where it is should be our strategy, and stopping it there and then making it useful downstream can be done in two ways. One would be freeze and refreeze. Freeze it when it flows in cold mountains so that it can be used in spring and summer when farmers need it. And one way we are seeing in Ladakh at Hayal, the Himalayan Institute, is to get people from all of these places for courses, modules that they can participate, learn the techniques, and go back to their places and become partners in implementing in their own context. Yeah? That way, because technologies are not easy for every village community to invent. So there could be regional laboratories. We hope Himalayan Institute of Ladakh can become Himalayan Institute of Nepal, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and various countries where you prepare the young and the old for understanding their climate, their context, and coming up with solutions to support implementation of such techniques, whether it is check dams or ice dams or ice stupas or bluff refreezing, will need resources. And
international support plays a crucial role in Pakistan's climate response. As one of the countries most affected by climate change, Pakistan receives vital assistance from organizations like the United Nations.
So Pakistan is doing a lot of things in terms of advocacy. It has plans and visions such as the Living Indus initiative to sustain the ecosystem of the Indus. But the major challenge that Pakistan faces is climate financing. Many of the countries that have promised in the several COPs to fund countries that are impacted by climate change adopt, but also mitigate and create defenses against the impacts of climate change, have not in many ways met their commitments.
The UN stands firmly behind Pakistan's call for climate justice, urging the world's wealthiest nations to fulfill their financial commitments.
Pakistan is in the top 10 countries that are severely impacted by climate change. We know the floods, I don't have to tell you. You also have drought, severe droughts in parts of the country. You also experience glacial outbursts. So Pakistan's development and its ability to meet the sustainable development goals are much threatened by the impact of climate change. So for us in the UN, we see climate change here in the context of Pakistan as an inhibitor for development.
While the Pakistani government spearheads climate policies, the United Nations also plays a crucial role in raising awareness and encouraging global responsibility.
So we at the United Nations are behind Pakistan and supporting Pakistan in its moral right to request those who have polluted and have caused this kind of unpredictable climate extremes to support countries like Pakistan. We also help Pakistan in responding to the impacts of climate change, such as the 2022 floods. The UN was at the forefront in helping Pakistan respond through humanitarian response, and up to today supporting communities that have been impacted and lost everything they had to reconstruct their lives. But this is the most challenging thing that Pakistan faces in its ability to meet its own vision to have a peaceful and prosperous country. The issue of climate change is not a one nation. It doesn't It doesn't sit. It doesn't sit on a border and say, smog will only impact Pakistan and not India or Afghanistan. This is a global challenge, a cross-border challenge. So you need the international community together. And the UN facilitates the COP, the annual COP meeting, but also the UN, through our Secretary General, represent the moral voice of those who have been impacted. And you've seen our Secretary General come here in 2022 to stand with the people of Pakistan and ask the world, especially the rich countries who have significantly contributed to global warming, to do more in helping countries like Pakistan. I am his representative, a representative of Secretary General here in Pakistan, and my job is to stand behind the people and the government of Pakistan as it fights the devastating impact of climate change, but also help Pakistan itself develop a green future for itself to make sure that Pakistan does not join as it develops those nations who have contributed to global warming. So we bring everybody who can help, those who can provide technical support. We facilitate those who want to provide financial support, those who want to provide concessional loans. So anything that is available, both financing, technical support, but also the moral platforms such as COP and others to remind people at the end of these global discussions are human beings that have been displaced, that have lost their lives, that are constantly being threatened through flooding and other forms of climate. One thing I really like about the Pakistan's approach and the approach of partners such as Dawn is the self-help, the recognition that you have to deal with this problem. The international community has an important role, especially financing, but communities across borders in the South Asia region have to come together and find a solution to this issue of climate change. And this is why we at the UN are excited to play an important role, be a partner with Dawn to make sure that climate action in this region is everybody's business, and both the private sector, the government and civil society.
Corporate responsibility is no longer optional. The private sector is realizing its role in addressing the climate crisis, with organizations like the Pakistan Business Council leading the way.
Businesses are very acutely aware that it's not just climate change, it's not just environment, but the broader ESG framework is something that they need to comply with. If you're a multinational company, you have to behave equally responsibly in Pakistan as you do abroad. If you're a large local company, you are also raising capital, either from the stock exchange or from banks. And State Bank of Pakistan जो है अब insist कर रहा है कि उनका जो environmental responsibility framework है वो सब banks adopt करें. So when the banks are lending money, they evaluate every year the state of their exposure in terms of environment and in terms of the broader framework or of ESG. In terms of whether their clients, their borrowers are according by that standard, and if they are not, then they are given a certain time period to start according. And if obviously there are some that will never be able to do so, so the banks are actually exiting relationships there. So this is one of the ways that private sector is becoming more responsible towards the environment.
Local businesses are also under pressure to comply with environmental regulations, but many have turned these challenges into opportunities.
Businesses impact climate change in many ways. The easiest one to look at is what they do within their own organization in terms of कि उनकी जो factories हैं उससे एक effluent discharge वगैरह होता है या जो air quality का impact आता है उसको किस तरह mitigate किया जा सकता है. तो that's the easy part really, relatively speaking, because it's a question of investing in the right equipment, but also adopting the right practices, starting to measure, because you can only manage what you measure. So these are things that the businesses have started some years ago, at least the larger, the more responsible businesses. Now the next, of course, challenge, if you like, objective is to get them to do the same with their value chain partners, the customers and the suppliers.
Foreign investors are equally committed to sustainability. Through organizations like the Overseas Investors, Chambers of Commerce and Industry, multinational companies are setting the standard for environmental practices.
देखिए, पाकिस्तान में जो फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स हैं वो इसको काफ़ी सीरियसली लेते हैं, इसलिए कि उनको ना सिर्फ पाकिस्तानी स्टैंडर्ड्स बल्कि ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स को कंप्लाई करना होता है और उनके जो पेरेंट कंपनीज होती हैं उनकी एक वेरी हाई स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं। तो उसको देखते हुए वो कोशिश ये करते हैं कि जो ग्रीन हाउस गैसेस में जो कमिटमेंट है पाकिस्तान का, तो वो जितने कम से कम कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं वो उसमें पार्टिसिपेट करें। इसके लिए वो ज़रूरी है कि वो इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स को कंप्लाई करते हुए क्लाइमेट में जो कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं पॉजिटिवली, वो अपना हिस्सा डाल रहे हैं।
OICCI's members are not only cutting emissions but also leading efforts in recycling and sustainable packaging.
For example, हम कोशिश 97% जो हमारे बहुत सारे मेंबर्स हैं वो अपनी सोलर पे चले गए हैं, वो रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। तो एक तो बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन इनका ये है, न सिर्फ उसमें कॉस्ट बेनिफिट हो रहा है बल्कि साथ साथ ये जो पाकिस्तान ने कमिटमेंट दी है ग्रीन हाउस गैसेस के लिए कि जितना आप रिलीज कर रहे हैं उससे ज़्यादा आप उसको सेव करें, तो एक तो उनका बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन ये है। फिर सिमिलरली वो रिसाइकलिंग बहुत करते हैं, यानी आज बहुत, मैं नाम तो नहीं लूँगा कंपनियों के, लेकिन हमारे जो मेंबर्स हैं 90% जो है उनकी जो पैकिंग होती है वो रिसाइकल मटेरियल पे होती है, तो वो ख़रीदते कम है और वापस उसको रिसाइकल करके कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं। इसी तरीके से और भी जो ग्रीन हाउसेस जो बन रहे हैं, ग्रीन बिल्डिंग्स जो बन रही हैं, उसमें उनकी कोशिश ये होती है कि जो कार्बन जो फैक्ट्री की जो नई फैक्ट्रीज बना रहे हैं उसमें वो कोशिश ये कर रहे हैं कि गैस कार्बन एमिशन जो है कम से कम हो।
OICCI's commitments to sustainability is helping set a global standard for environmental responsibility in Pakistan.
गवर्नमेंट को के साथ एंगेज रखते हैं और उनको ये बताते हैं कि हम हमारे मेंबर्स किस तरीके से क्लाइमेट को इम्प्रूव करने में अपना रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं, और गवर्नमेंट भी उस चीज़ को अप्रिशिएट करती है और हमें ऐसे सारे फोरम में मौका मिलता है जहां पर ये सब्जेक्ट डिस्कस किया जा रहा है।
As the climate crisis deepens, businesses are focusing on not just sustainability but disaster response and recovery. Bank Al-Falah, a key player in corporate responsibility, has set an example with its proactive approach to flood relief and green financing.
Bank Al-Falah actually took the last disaster that hit Pakistan, the big floods in 2022, very seriously. And we had a strong look inwards to see what is our responsibility in such a circumstance. And therefore Bank Al-Falah became the largest corporate donor for the flood relief program. The immediate relief effort that was required to get people to at least be able to save their lives, and the bigger part was the long-term rehabilitation, which included rebuilding of houses, recreation of livelihoods, and then for long-term sustainable future also invest in education, in health, and building sustainable livelihoods for people long term.
Beyond immediate relief, the bank has made significant investments in green projects to ensure that Pakistan is prepared for future climate challenges.
So we have a whole program for green financing, and we've been working with institutions like Karandaz. We've also had consultancy support from IFC, and we have developed a program that supports existing customers to convert their businesses to more sustainable methodologies. For instance, in the production of power, we've helped a number of customers move away from the traditional fossil fuel generation of electricity and power to renewable sources, and that includes now that we've invested in bagasse based power projects, also hydel projects, solar projects, and wind power. So these are renewable energy projects that we are very focused on supporting, and we have done a number of them over the last few years, and we will continue to do so in the future. Also, we're looking at where this direction in this technology is taking us in the future, and are studying that further to be able to support in the future. So just in the year 2024, we were able to support projects worth 26 billion through our financing. That's a significant number to have been done in 1 year, and inshallah we're looking to increase that in the future. The bank obviously has a number of different premises across Pakistan, and we now realize that a lot of them need to be converted more towards green buildings. And we have undertaken an exercise with the IFC to see what are those steps that we need to take, not only as far as real estate is concerned, but our other operating practices that need to be more responsible from an environment protection perspective.
As we've seen, the climate crisis is a global issue with deeply local consequences. Pakistan stands at the forefront, facing some of the harshest impacts, yet the nation remains resilient. From government policies to corporate responsibility and international partnerships, the country is stepping up to meet the challenge. But this fight requires more than just local efforts. Global action is needed to ensure that promises are kept and that the most vulnerable are supported. The road ahead may be tough, but with cooperation, innovation and commitment, there is hope. In the face of adversity, Pakistan's journey towards climate resilience is not just a national effort. It is a call to the world to act, to join in the fight for a sustainable future. This is just the beginning. From government policies and international collaboration to corporate investments and green financing, Pakistan is mobilizing all sectors to address the climate crisis. But this fight is far from over. As we move forward, how can the corporate sector continue to innovate and lead the way to a sustainable future?
Breathe Pakistan,
a Dawn Media initiative.
Let's weather the change
together.